Hey, Kenny, it's Kenny. This is entry number 14, and I'm here with RJ Signs. It's a rare occasion because I know you obviously very well, but I haven't seen you since I've been to Austin to do comedy.
In like 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yeah, I haven't seen you in almost a month, and then I've been back for close to 2 weeks. And we just, it was just busy times.
Ships in the night.
So it's like, that's why I made sure, it's like everybody else I think I've talked to about Austin, and even the other comics that I'll have on today, so I won't talk about it too much. So the main podcast talking about Austin will be here.
Well, and that's what at some point during a trip, I think somebody was like, "Oh, you see, Kenny's shows got moved around or Vulcan," and I was like, I don't want to know. I'm sure he'll tell me 100 times when he comes back. I'm not worried about any mystery. I'll find out.
100%. Yeah. So I mean, overall, the Austin trip was like awesome. Like the trip was great, but the reason that we went out there, like the show we went out there for, was fucked and got fucked over. And it's like convoluted because so the way it is, it's at the Vulcan. The Vulcan is a music venue. They do comedy there as well. And I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I believe most of the comedy is done through one person, through a guy and it's the guys who are opening that new club in Fort Worth, Big Laugh Comedy Club in Fort Worth. Yeah. And then they have Big Laugh Comedy, which is like a comedy network thing that they're trying to do. And so they kind of give their name of their shows. Like when they promote, like I think Johnny Mitchell's there tonight and they're like promoting his show. But then I think there's other shows there, like the Kill Tony Regular show. I think they go straight through the Vulcan. I don't think they go through this guy. But neither here nor there. I went through this guy because that's who I was given the contact to book the Vulcan. And me and Zach were supposed to do a co-headlining show there. It's fucked also because 2 weeks out, the next weekend we were supposed to go do Fort Worth, their new club. Yeah. But 2 weeks out, they canceled that because the construction's not done.
Because they weren't done.
And so that's already that's rescheduled. That's happening March 8th and 9th. It is what it is. We were going to be the opening weekend at that club. Yeah. So that's what can happen. You know what I mean? For opening weekends, you can kind of get fucked like that. The funny thing that I find in that is it looks like they started posting videos and it's like they just started the construction. So it was like, it was never in the cards. So I'm already gonna be, this show this weekend gets canceled like 2 weeks before the trip, 3 days after I buy my plane ticket. So I already bought a plane ticket to come back after that weekend, and I can't change it or make it to a different day or anything without paying extra money. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to be in Austin. The Airbnb is going to be gone on Thursday. I'll just stay with Jason, our friend, for those that don't, and fellow comic that lives out in Austin. I'll just stay with him. So it'll cost me no extra money, but like food just to hang out for for like 4 or 5 extra days, which is also just good in general in Austin because it's a comedy town, comedy scene, all of that. So I was like, that was whatever, that can happen. But then we get to Austin on a Wednesday. The show's on Friday, so we're just there hanging out for a couple of days. Wake up Friday morning at 10 a.m., and I have a message from the guy that I was booking the show through that says exactly this. Hey, there's a sold-out show after your show tonight, so we have to move your show to Monday or Tuesday.
Oh.
Which makes no sense, because I'm like, what do you mean if there's a sold-out show after my show? That's 2 shows. Yeah. You do the early show, you do the late show. And he's like, yeah, it's just out of my hands. This isn't what I want to happen. Like, he was very apologetic. He did everything he could, but it was...
So it wasn't his call.
This was as I was realizing the exact dynamic of what was going on. I was like, oh, okay, so he's like a producer technically and doesn't have the control. Like, the Vulcan at the end of the day is literally just like, no, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And so that sucks. And I still couldn't understand because the way that it was going with, like, there's so much, like, stacked up with this, which is... It was our first show that it was like our first show of our tour. So it was us figuring out how many tickets we're going to sell. And so literally on Wednesday when we got there were 9 tickets sold. And this is a 250 capacity venue. Yeah. There's 9 tickets. So, but the night before the show, it's like 26 are sold.
Okay.
Then when it's canceled, it's at like 32. And then I watch it because it takes him like 3 hours before like whoever does their back end stuff switches it. And so I can keep looking at the sales report and I just keep looking at it every 10 minutes just incessantly to see if, and tickets are selling. Like when it went off sale, tickets were like over 40 tickets.
Yeah. So you probably gotten that, like 60 out of it.
Actually, after doing the Monday, so the show ends up getting moved. It gets moved to Monday. I watch all the tickets getting refunded on the same thing, how I was watching on Climb. As soon as they change it, they send out an email. I watch people getting refunds to where it gets down to like 24 tickets again. And then we ended up selling 40 exactly. All those tickets sold at the door. So they sell a lot of tickets at the door.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure they pull a lot of door sales.
Which means to me that if we would have had the show on Friday was like basically Halloween because it was like a huge party night. 6th Street was insane.
Yeah.
I believe we would have sold somewhere between 80 and 120 tickets if it was on Friday, because I was talking to them about like their door sale. Like they're like, no, we sell a lot at the door. Like a lot of tickets at the door, especially people just like, and that doesn't even mean all fans. That's just people walking around on 6th Street. It's just a good area to be doing comedy. So somewhere between, I would say on the low end it would have at least got to 80 on the track that it was on, and it probably could have gotten up to 120. I'd be surprised if it got to more. And that would have been a fine show. The show itself was fine. The 40-person show, it was it wasn't like, oh man, what a horrible show, but it wasn't, I don't know. It's like if you put on a show at the Rec Room holds 160. It's like when you put on a show to like 25 people.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we had a fun show, but it's like not what you want, especially if you're the one who promoted the show, if it's your show, if you're making money on the show.
When all the wind's taken out of your sales because you were wanting the other shows to happen, and then, because it was 2 shows, right?
1 show.
It was just 1 show on Friday. Okay.
So it took me all day Friday to figure out what happened. And literally when I was in an Uber on the way to go to Jason's show, Jason was headlining this small room called the Velveeta Room on Friday and Saturday that week.
The cheese, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I was like, man, I've been thinking about macaroni and cheese. And Jason was like, why would you be thinking about macaroni and cheese? I'm like, fucking Velveeta? And he's just like, what? And I'm like, Velveeta, macaroni and cheese, Velveeta shells and cheese. He's like, oh, yeah, that is a thing, huh? I'm like,
yeah, it's like what the name is.
Yeah.
It's exclusively used for.
Yeah,
it's not just a fancy way to say velvet.
Hey, dude, I agree, but
right,
he was not picking up on it.
Let's call him right now, piece of shit.
So on the way over, I'm like, well, whose fucking show is this? Like, whose show is? Because I didn't even think to look. It was just in all of this. And so I look it up, and then immediately figured out exactly what happened. So our show was scheduled to start at 7:30, comedy show. At 9 p.m., they had emo night, which was it had, and I saw videos because Matt Edgar, the comic that lives out there, he went to emo night, and so he took some videos.
He is emo night.
And so I saw videos, and it's like they had a DJ, they had a band on stage, and I'm like, oh, this is what happened. Was between the venue and the producer, right? No one noticed this conflict of time, and they needed the time to do sound checks, to set everything up, to do sound check. This is also a music event, so there's not going to be tables. Like they set up tables and chairs for the comedy show.
Yeah.
There's going to be no tables and chairs for this. So it was logistically they couldn't set up both of these shows because they were scheduled back to back to each other, and so they decided to move. That it was just like scrap our show.
Damn.
And then obviously there's no contract, as you know, unless you're like doing huge shows, you don't have a contract for it. So there was just like no recourse, or nothing to do. We literally I walked out with, I would have made like 4 times the amount of money if it was on Friday. Like it was just like, so that part of the whole thing was fucked. But the rest of the trip was a lot of fun.
Did it get better from there?
I mean, well, yeah, that was kind of in the middle. By the time it was Monday, that was the middle of the trip anyway. But everything else around the trip was a ton of fun. Austin is, what most of us would think comedy, like comedy we want to do. Like literally, like just like, oh, I have like 2 or 3 shows tonight. We could walk to a couple, like park somewhere, walk to like 2 of them, depending on where they're all at. Walk to all 3, like walk from one to the other. Most shows send you the lineup in the middle of the day, so that you can like look at it and because they know that people are going to be like, can I go up early? Can I go up late?
Yeah,
Can I do?
Can we swap? Yeah.
So they figure all that out.
So you're moving there?
No. I'm not moving. I wouldn't move there unless I found myself with like in a place where I'm like, I have not very many other options. Like I don't have anything going on. Like if something like if this place were to close down and I'm not like touring at all.
But before you went to Austin, you were like, I'll never move there. And then you went to Austin, you're like, I could see myself doing it.
I could see myself backed into a corner and going, and I would pick there to move for comedy. I don't like Austin itself or Texas really that much, and I'd much rather live here. But for like comedy reasons, I'm like, okay, yeah. Like I mean, I even told my girlfriend, I was like, dude, like I was just talking about like going to the store a lot and like making a real push to like, I need to go to the store more than just Mondays. I need to be hanging out. I need to just be doing everything I can do, because if I find myself stuck in like, if it's like 2 years from now and I find myself like stuck and being like, I have no options. I have nothing brewing. I can't get booked. I can't book any dates at comedy clubs. I can't do any of this shit. Then it was like, yeah, I would have to like consider moving there.
Yeah,
because there's just a lot of shit going on. I mean, and I was very lucky because Jason's like, you know, decently respected within the comedy scene as a good comic, and as if he's recommending somebody as well. And then Zach had William Montgomery's podcast lined up to do.
Oh, cool.
While he was out there, and I tagged along, and then William remembered me from doing like Jeremiah Watkins' show here, which I just expect nobody to like. Yeah. I expect people that I don't have like multiple encounters with, you know, and know them well. I just expect them not to remember me.
Exactly.
And so he was like, literally saw me. He's like, Kenny, how's the rec room? Like, oh, like, and I went on the podcast. And then he with Zach, and then he was like, "What days don't you guys have shows?" And then he's the one that hooked us up with. We did the Kill Tony Regulars show, so it's just it's a stand-up show, but it's like Hans Kim's and Cam Patterson's like show that they put on every Tuesday at the Vulcan, which was funny because there was probably like 100 people there, so we got a taste of what our show like could have been.
Oh, crazy!
And it was fucking killer. Like it was awesome. That show was great. And then,
but you obviously weren't doing 30 minutes on that show.
No, did 10. Luckily, did 10 minutes at least. And then I also got to do Red Band show. Nice. William hooked it up with that. The secret show
at his club, right? Sunset.
Yeah. So I did two or three. I think two, maybe 3 shows there. I did 2 or I did 2 or 3 shows at Sunset. But it's like Jason was smart enough because he was like bopping around to different shows, and I was like, well, I'll do my spot, then I'll go with you. And he was like, if I was you, I would just hang in the green room at Sunset afterwards. And so I just ended up sitting in the green room. Like I went up fairly early and then just like sat in the green room for like 2.5 or like 3 hours. And then just ended up kind of hanging out with Red Band a little bit and just fucking bullshitting about like electronics and all that. I had a very good set on the show too. And so when I left, he was like, hey, if you're ever back out here, hit me up. Like, you know, come let me know when you come back out. So that was cool. Like, and it's mainly because I was plugged in at a decent level.
Yeah.
Because I would say because obviously coming back from there, everybody's so intrigued because of the mothership and then just the explosion of that scene.
Yeah.
And the way I've been describing it is like, I feel like if there's a ladder, right? In California, I feel like there's 3 rungs to the comedy ladder. There's open mic, bottom rung. Mm-hmm. There's like the top 5% of comics that are like not just headliners, but headliners that are selling shows out constantly. All of that. That's the top rung.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is in the middle. So somebody who's barely squeaking their way out of the open mic scene, along with people who are headliners, but they're just not fucking crushing it. It's like that everyone's in that middle, and it's a tough time for unless you're the top.
Yeah.
Like everyone else is fucking struggling. And in Texas, it feels like there's like 4 or 5 rungs to the ladder. And no matter which rung you're at, you can go do a ton of comedy. Like if you're an open micer, you're out there, there's a bunch of open mics. I mean, I didn't go to any, but I was talking to Jason. there's a ton of open mics that you can go do, be an open micer, and then it's like you can kind of break into the scene where you're doing kind of shows at this club and this club, you know what I mean? And then there's then above that, now you're kind of doing spots at most of the clubs.
Yeah.
Now you're doing spots at most of the clubs and at like Cap City and Creek in the Cave and shit. You're like hosting and or featuring.
Yeah.
And then now you know what I mean, you can just keep going up this ladder, and there's enough room for everybody.
Yeah, I also think there's a huge demand for it. Like, it seems like there's a lot of crowds that come out to watch comedy.
Yeah, it reminded me of, it's a different version. Everywhere I performed reminded me of like a different version of the Comedy Store, in the sense that it's like it was like tourists. Like it was tourists actually on 6th Street, so between Velveeta Room, Vulcan, the Mothership, Sunset Strip, those are all on 6th Street. Though, and that's also, it makes sense because that's the tourist area. That's like the attraction. 6th Street is like the attraction. It was mostly like tourist people that like were destination comedy fans. But then there's the clubs that are closer to like the college and more of the college. So you get like college kids or like more locals going to those.
I didn't realize there was a college in Austin.
Yeah, University of Texas Longhorns.
Go long.
Hook
Go
'em
Aggies.
horns. Hook 'em horns.
Is that what Aggie?
No, Aggie's isn't that isn't that Texas A&M? I think.
I think you're right.
Aggies.
Yeah.
And then the Hook 'em horns
Hook 'em
is
horns,
like
the Longhorns. Yeah.
the Longhorns.
The big orange.
Like for instance, there was one show that he did at this club called East Austin Comedy Club. This tiny ass. I guess it has 2 rooms, but I only saw the small room. It's literally like they gutted a house, and like the dining room is like the fucking where they have like the bar and everything, and then the living room area it's like the dining room kitchen, and then there's like the dining room living room, and the dining room living room is where the stage is, and this place fits maybe 35 people in the whole place, and then you're just there like right on top of these people. It's a cool little place. The show I did though, literally this whole section was like chicks that were like, so I think they were like a sorority or something, and so the show was like tough. I even said it out. I even said it like at the beginning. I was like, yeah, like I think I did like my hair joke, and then I was like, yeah, man. And I was like, it's a lot of chicks, maybe too many chicks for me to like. Usually I'm just talking about my dick or something. This is probably gonna not go. And it was like it just went okay. There was just the energy was just weird because
like
it was
a
like
private event.
It was like all these like young ass fucking chicks, and it's like I don't know. Comedy. The more I do comedy, the more I feel like it's not for young people.
What's young?
Like under 25.
Yeah, I mean, you get that. I think here, which is crazy. I think at least on one of the 2 mics that happen, you get this combo of easily 20-year-old, 21-year-olds that come sit along the back, and they love it, but they obviously don't like get it fully. Like they don't.
Yeah.
It's not for them. I think they like watching it like kind of like a fish, like a snow globe kind of a way.
Yeah.
Like they don't really want to be part of it, but they like watching it happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just think you're not. I don't know if they're not like cultured or worldly or enough just life experience for this wide variety of things to be funny. I don't.
Yeah.
I think honestly they're better off at open mics, like this crazy thing where they can like laugh at people doing poorly as well as some people doing well. But I think like a comedy show, when you tend to have like a large group of young people, it's not. It's just better. I mean, at this point I'd rather have a large group of old people than. I just think maybe it's also like young people, like even like subconsciously they have more like an unwillingness to listen.
Yeah.
More often than not. So it's kind of like somebody who's like taking them on like a little journey.
Yeah.
Like a little comedic journey. They might not be as receptive.
The show that I've been running in Laguna Hills, I get a bunch of returners that are like, they're in their late 50s and they're like down. They love comedy. And I also get these returners that are like in their mid 20s and they also kind of been into it. But then I have all these people that are like 30-year-old couples. And they're just chill. Like they're not like zany weird people. They just seem very normal, and they eat it up. So I think that's my favorite age of people that show up.
Yeah, I think I mean exactly what you just mentioned is kind of like what you want out of a comedy audience. I feel like I want like 27 to 50. Like 27 to 45, like somewhere in there is like your main, most people in that age. And then you have some old people and then some young people. Like it's fine, but it's like when we know just from doing like something like Super Secret here, which tends to be
60 plus.
like old people for some reason, like that can be rough. And then same thing.
Well, it can be rough also because I'm not a 40-year-old man. I look like an 18-year-old boy. Like I don't present like a masculine authority. So I'm almost any audience. I mean, it's gotten better for sure with my confidence, but I don't. Whenever it's a crowd of like really older people, I'm like, oh no, they don't respect me automatically. I don't have to say anything. They're like, who's this child? What's he going to talk about?
Interesting, we had Greg Barrett this last Friday.
Yeah, he's an older looking guy,
and he obviously was like fans of his, and they were older, but it like they got there. Mm-hmm. They like, and it was pretty. It still ended up being pretty fun. It's yeah, it's just rough sometimes. I guess we literally, it's like an inside thing. There's a show here every other week, mostly called Super Secret. It's an unannounced lineup, and then it's like the longest running show at the club. And I don't know if it's the email list that the producer of the show has or whatever it is. It just tends to attract like old people come to the show.
Yeah. like youngest age is like 45. I feel like.
Yeah, and they can be a little rough. It was interesting this last week. Luke Binko hosted Mixed, mm-hmm. and that was like an interesting thing to watch because he was like by far the youngest person
in the room.
Like in the room,
yeah.
And it was interesting to like. It's just funny because I know he's up in LA doing pretty decently, and like it's like, but when you get more of that like road audience of like what it's like to like do comedy for Americans, not do comedy in like the bubble of LA.
Yeah.
Like just doing comedy for like how different it is. I think it's like it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing for me to watch.
Well, that's like kind of I like the Austin thing. I'm trying to plan some things next year where I go out to places like Austin for a weekend or for a week, especially a place like Austin. But the audience, like you said, it's more touristy, and I think not even just touristy. Any audience that isn't like Southern California impress me. I've seen it all. I could be at a Laker game or getting sucked off at a movie theater instead of this. Like that kind of energy just fucking kills me. Like people who just go like, who are you again? Like I'm like, dude, come on, just like lighten up a little bit.
Yeah.
But like I used to do when I was 19, I did demo sales in Sam's Clubs and Costco's. So I'd be the guy with the fucking earpiece like, hey, you guys want a free fucking knife? Ding 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 ding. And I do the whole demo and whatever. But I would do that all over for like 11 days at a time. So sometimes it'd be Torrance, sometimes it would be San Diego, sometimes it would be there's one in Tustin, but then they would send me to Albuquerque or Yuma or Salt Lake City.
I feel like those ones the people would stop and be like, all right, son, tell me more about this.
Oh, those people were, and again, that's the American audience, like the people that are like, they're like entranced, like, oh, a salesman's come to town. Whoa, well, what magical web will you weave for us, young man? And they just want to like watch you.
Well, now that I've watched you cut a metal pipe with that knife, I must buy it.
Certainly, there's no way that hammer is fake. Let me take 2 of those boxes off of your hands. Yeah. I had a blind lady.
I'll sell.
Yeah, we had Foghorn Leghorn buying a bunch of knives off me. I had a blind lady buy knives off me. That was nice.
Oh, wow. She's probably dead now. Nice.
Yeah. I'll never forget because she comes up and she's like, you know how blind people, like, they don't close their eyes. Like, they're just like a little glazed over. But it wasn't like milky. So I thought she was just doing a bit because she walks up to my booth and she's like, I just want to, this is, ooh, wow, that is a sharp. Yeah. Oh, I like the serrated. Serrated is good. And I'm like,
that'd be wild if it was a bit.
Well, and then she goes, I need to let you know I am blind, so I'm not just staring at the ceiling, okay? Like,
nice. Okay. She had good timing on it.
Yeah,
she let it go for like 10, 15 seconds before she said anything.
Yeah. So that's a fun one. But yeah, I like those kind of people in audiences. Ooh.
One of the lights died.
Oh, it's battery or is it?
Yeah, they like plug in, but they should last longer than that. I hope I don't lose.
They all just start going out.
Yeah, one by one, this podcast gets like darker and darker.
That's crazy.
It's all right. It'll just we have a more dramatic tone of lighting on my side.
It's more like a Charlie Rose situation.
Yeah. Now it just got. It should have like went out right when you're like, and she was blind.
And that was the last time I saw her.
But yeah, if you go out to Austin, you should definitely. I would say like a week at least. Like, don't do just I mean, like, I'm sure there's plenty of other cities where it's like, yeah, if you can line up like a show or two, for the weekend, just bob out there and come back. But Austin is definitely like a thing of like kind of like put yourself in the scene.
Yeah.
And then I also was lucky enough to line up, and everybody remembered me to hook it up with the mothership mic. I ended up getting like a good spot on that. And
That's so weird. So it's a mic, but you're obviously, asked to do it.
yeah, it's just like it's like potluck.
Yeah.
It's literally it's like potluck and friends and family at the store, and then there it's the open mic and crew show.
Yeah.
And the open mic's 3 minutes, the crew show's 5 minutes. I did the open mic, but it's the different. I would say the only difference is like potluck. They're like seating people from the beginning. People are just still kind of like
Coming
trickling in. Like 90% of the people are there at the like start of the show
just to watch
for for this, and so it was
for that crowd. Yeah, they're ready to go.
I know it was just like it was a sold out. It was a sold out show doing 3 minutes. Like that's all.
3 minutes. Oh my god.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, obviously still fun, I bet, and
of course. It's just I actually did 2.5 minutes because I just did like the hair material and was like that's it. Like I almost was gonna be like, okay, I could probably do this joke and have it be like 30, but I was like, it was all one thing. Did it, crushed. Like it was. I mean, it's just so it's like everybody. It's perfectly set up for comedy. It's just like like here. I think one of the different like the improv. The Brea or Irvine, how like your feet are basically at their like eyes,
at their foreheads, yeah.
And then here it's like your knees, and it's like the same thing there, except for everything's like pushed in even closer than it is here. And so it's like it's like everybody. I mean, like this room, we could probably fit more people if we made everything like way closer. But they're only serving drinks there too. They're not serving food,
so
which I think we could be even closer here if we were serving only drinks. And it's just like it's just perfectly set up for. You're like right on top of the people, like yelling at them and fucking it was
kind of like belly room vibes.
But better, just still better. You're like it's like the right height. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Is like it's like the height of the stage. How you're like over the people, but not like too much like the improvs.
Yeah.
And it's just nice. It is like here. It's just you're over here. You're really only over the first row, and then but the second row is so far back. You're in front. It's like you're in front of them. That there, it's like you're over like a lot of the crowd almost.
Have you ever been to the Cellar in New York?
No.
That, in my opinion, is one of maybe number 2, maybe number 1 best club in the world, as far as like layout goes.
Right.
As far as like feel and vibe and closeness, and they do food, but it's just if it's like that, like you said, like that second row feels like it could be at your knees, like it's right there.
Yeah, and so it's awesome. It was really cool. Jason did his first like paid spot there. Like while I was out there, he's done. I mean, he's done like the crew show a ton of times and done the mic and the crew show a bunch. But his first he did like Derek and Hassan's show. I think it's called like Solid Comedy Show, and so it was fun. Like I went and watched. So I went and watched like a show in that small. I never saw the big room. I only was only in the small room because
he bombed.
No, yeah, it was so fun to go watch him bomb. His first set. No, he did very well. And then I think he actually, the next week after I left, he actually got to do Bottom of the Barrel.
Oh, nice. Brian
got
Simpson.
booked for like, and it's like that's 2 shows. So it's like 2 shows. They do back to back. But it was, the club is cool. The only other, the two things I will say about Austin, one is they don't stop, like they say faggot a lot. Like,
wow.
There's a lot of comics saying it. There's
off stage.
All on stage, actually. Nobody was saying it off stage. It was just, but it was never a good punchline. I mean, I'll give you one guess off camera, and you'll probably guess exactly who it is. But I just won't say it on. I won't say the name on camera.
You can bleep it.
But there's a popular comic that was on stage, and his whole thing was like, oh, your phones, I almost did an imitation where you'd know who it is.
No.
Your phones are locked up, I can say anything, and then literally just starts calling crowd members faggots.
That's very funny.
And it's just like, it was,
I mean, it's dumb, but I it's like, that's what yeah, that's the bit, right?
Yeah, but it's like not from a. That's the bit from like an open micer. Like if I
That's
saw
what I'm
that as
saying,
an
yeah.
open, this was like a professional comedian.
You would do that at a midnight mic when it's like, oh, are all the girls going? Fucking bitches. You know,
yeah.
like that's.
Oh yeah, I
saying,
do
like,
agree with
that's-
that. This was it was like 8:00 at night. It was it was like 8 p.m. like a professional comedian that tours all over the country. Selling out large venues.
Yeah, you expect more at that point for your dollar. You know,
yeah,
you
it was
expect
just,
a little.
and
bit
this is
more.
me. This is you. Remember who this is? This is Kenny. This is somebody who like I'm not.
You've
one,
done that bit before.
I'm not.
You've done that bit many times.
I'm not one to be like, oh, we shouldn't say this, we shouldn't say that, but it's like, god damn, we should like. And it's probably because by the time I saw this, it was like I was almost there a week by then.
Yeah.
And so I had seen like multiple comics just like not give a fuck, you know what I mean, at all. Just a different vibe. Just that was the Austin vibe. And then I will say it reminds me of San Diego in some of the comics. Like you'll know what I mean because you go to San Diego enough to know that it's like their scene is so big and there's comics that are used to doing shows. So I watched them like go into a room and then look around and be like, oh, this show's not, like it's a show that anybody in Orange County here or even LA, we would be like, oh shit, hell yeah, this is like I'm here. You're going in there trying to crush. You know what I mean? It's not a super packed show, but there are real people there because that's like our literal like minimum bars. Like, wait, there's real people. Let's do this. Where they're like, oh, this sucks, and then they go up and treat it like an open mic.
Dude, I had that happen to me in San Diego from a guy who was from Austin.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, okay, Jason Rodriguez, why are you doing that? No, I'm just kidding. No, I just kidding. It was another guy. I forget his name. But yeah, I never understood that.
Yeah, well, I get it because they're running on their own momentum in their comedy scene, and they don't have anybody that they need to impress. Right? Like they're not like I have no choice. Like I'm going to Austin. It's like every show I'm putting I have to put my best foot forward and like be like, look, I need to show you guys that I'm a fucking proficient stand-up comedian so that you'll book me on future shows so that you'll fucking want to talk to me after
you'll follow me on Instagram.
The set. You'll follow me on Instagram, like all these different things. But I'm on like their domain, and it's the same thing when we go to San Diego. But the thing is if that's what you're used to doing, then it's gonna be harder to go from Austin to San Diego and then just be like, because if you go from Austin to San Diego, even if the show's small, you still gotta cook. You know what I mean? Like you gotta go, and if that's not what you're used to doing, it's rough. So it was just like something I noticed, and that's just reminded me of San Diego. Just like, oh, you guys are so spoiled with stage time that you look at some shows and go like, I don't care that these people that are here paid full price for these tickets and stuff. It's just something I think about. I think about with every single show. Like the only times I don't is when I know like this is a bar show where no one paid to be here.
Yeah, we are Shanghaiing this entire evening. We are taking you captive.
Yeah. Then I'm like, I
actually have more empathy for those people lately. Whenever I do a show that's like people are like being asked to be quiet and they have to turn off the TVs and everyone like turns around. I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is actually not what you wanted tonight, but I promise I'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't feel like. I mean, I'm always trying to be funny. I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to. It's hard to. I'm like, there's never a time where I'm like, well, guess I'm gonna do. This is my open mic now, but
yeah. Well, I'll try to put something in, but I'm not like I'm not gonna like go, completely bail on trying to be funny.
But for sure, there's like I did a show there. Like I did a show where the guy who booked it hit us up in the middle of the day, and he's like, "Look, dudes, it was on that Saturday before Halloween. He's like, look, there's only 15 tickets sold. If you guys just want to bail on the show, like I totally get it. Just let me know." And then I was like, if there's gonna be people at the show at all, then I'm gonna do the show. Get to the show. The show actually had 40 to 50 people there, but it could hold it, and I guess it usually probably has like 100 or 150. So to them, the show was light, and then it's like multiple comics on the lineup just kind of went up and were fucking around. Like they're just completely fucking around, and it's like I don't know. Like it's just like, to me, it's I just keep going back to like people. Like I can only imagine there's people that will pay for tickets to a comedy show I mean, what do you get? Once, maybe twice of like them going to a show and being like, fuck, that show was actually pretty bad. And then not wanting to like watch live comedy.
Yeah.
Again. And so I maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I think about that shit too much and I should just be focused on myself and shit. But I still think, I mean, being funny is a good idea.
That's actually, I've always said that about you. You should be more focused about yourself. That's what I've said every single time. Like, you know what? No, that's the problem here.
That's the problem with me?
The problem is you aren't thinking enough about yourself, and you should maybe turn it up a notch a bit.
I think of I'm thinking of others too much.
Too benevolent, some would say. Some would be like, oh, Kenny? Altruistic to a fault.
Oh, fuck you.
No, I think you're a good guy. But I was curious, how many times did you eat Terry Black's?
Twice.
Was it the best thing you had there?
Yeah, it was the best thing. The problem with it is like both times I spent $50.
Holy Lord.
You know what I mean? Because I knew the first time I was like, it's the first time. And then the second time it was the last time. You know what I mean? Like I knew it was the last time. So instead of going there and being like, I think I'll get myself like, you know, some fucking pulled pork, a little bit of sausage, and like some mac and cheese.
Some burnt ends, please. Yeah, like
some mac and cheese and call it a day. Yeah. No, like I got a third of a pound of 3 or 4 different meats each time.
Nice.
I got potato salad, corn, and mac and cheese each time as sides. And then, like, the first time I got, like, a banana pudding just because it looked so delicious. And I was like, I don't even know how I carried it. I was, like, eating it in the Uber.
The Uber guy hated you.
Yeah,
he was like, fuck this guy.
Actually, this Uber guy was fucking insane. We get picked up. This Uber, he goes, okay, it looks like we have a 20-minute ride. I'm going to tell you guys a story. And then he proceeds to tell us this fucking crazy story that like he's still talking to us about it as we're like getting out of the car. And the story goes, he had an Uber passenger that gets in and he like looks at her and he's like, holy shit, like this girl looks like my ex-wife, but like not like, but looks like her when she was her age. It was like a 20-year-old girl. And like this girl looks like my ex-wife when she was like 20. And then the girl proceeds to go like, do I look familiar to you? And he's like, or she's like, I'm your daughter. And then he's like, well, how did you find me? And he's like, you know, Aunt Carol and Uncle Bob, you know how they went to MIT? Well, they taught me how to hack, and we hacked your phone and all of your electronics, and we've been monitoring you so that I could figure out when to approach you. So, and like,
what the fuck? That's actually a crazy story. I'm back in.
Yeah, but it's like that's what me and Zach both go. Like, that's where we could believe most of the story until you start talking about your MIT aunt and uncle that taught her how to hack, and mind you, I'm being very like jokey through the whole thing. So I'm like, wait. So they were looking at you through your phone? And he's like, yeah, my phone and my Alexis. Like he keeps calling Alexa Alexis.
Strike 3. You don't know anything about technology.
And I'm like, so they were like watching you. I was like, dude, they were watching you in the bathroom? Like just like that. And he's like, yeah, that's the first thing that I said. And I do a lot of stuff in the bathroom. That's what like.
Come on.
And then he just keeps and it's like he just keeps going with and then then it came that his ex at one point did porn. Then he's like, yeah, I remember when I went to see her the last time, she hadn't been with me for a couple months, and I was like, I'm good for you because you got fat. You got fat. And he's like, you remember when you told Mom she got fat? Well, she was just pregnant with me, and you didn't know. Like, it was just like, and the story was so...
So he's trying to do a jokey joke. Like, he's trying to, like, ham it up anyways.
He wasn't, though. He that's not what he was putting forward. What he was putting forward was, like, this is a real story. And I'm, like, I gotta believe that he was, like, after the fact, like, I got another one. Like like, I don't know. He was a weird fucking guy. But yeah, I at one point I was just eating the banana pudding, listening to this fucking crazy story from this Uber driver.
On paper, like, I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, that's a really interesting story. But then, like, obviously, if this guy's trying to ham it up, like, I can't, anytime I'm in like a Uber or something and someone starts like going, like, I'm like, oh, this is a thrill for you.
Yeah.
This is your time. This is your 5 minutes of fame or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, you're excited to talk to another human who will actually listen to you because I have no choice.
Oh yeah, this guy was at one point he picks up a dog like a Pomeranian that's in the passenger seat and like this is I don't remember the dog. This is Bella, whatever the dog's name was, and just like. And the dog wasn't.
She went to MIT.
She went to MIT dog school.
She hacked my Motorola Razor. She's so smart.
It was that was fucking that was the day the show got canceled that we went. So this was like it was so hot that day, and we're just sitting outside, just sweating from eating, and then get into an Uber and hear this fucking crazy fucking story before not getting to go do my show. It was just like, what the fuck's wrong with Texas? Like that was a wild day. But yeah, $50 each time for Terry Blacks.
But essentially going back the second time, you're like, this is worth the $50.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was worth the $50. But again, no, like if I lived there, I'd eat it once in a while. Like, you know what I mean? It would be very, it would just be it would be a splurge.
Well, obviously,
thing.
You eat it once in a while. But I hated the places that's like, oh, why? Like, I don't want to go to this. Like, why did I spend for this $30 entree when like I could make a better smoked salmon at home? Like, this is terrible. Like, I hate that. Kind of stuff.
I took Tawny to Red Lobster for the first time like 2 or 3 months ago, and Red Lobster's fine to me. Red Lobster is fine. But then she wanted to go so bad, like she was like trying to go last night, and then I was like, I'll just go get lobster and cook lobster tails. It'll be better. It'll be like better quality lobster, and it'll cut like. I went and bought. It was like at Costco. I ended up getting 7 lobster tails for $90.
Yeah,
and I was like, like I cooked a bunch of them. I cooked like 5 of them last night, and then I have 2 more that I'll like cook this weekend. I made lobster rolls for the first time. She doesn't eat lobster rolls. She just ate like hers with like green beans or whatever.
Oh, you like marinated it in cold and put them on.
No, I do. I like hot lobster rolls. So while it was still hot, I like put some mayonnaise and a little bit of lemon juice and then fucking celery and green onion. It was fucking so good though. So fucking lobster's bomb. I wish it was cheap like it used to be.
What do you mean used to be?
Like back in the day, like
the 1700s. What do you mean?
Yeah. I think it was.
The way that you said it was like, it's not as cheap as it used to be. Like you remember the time.
No,
like
I don't remember it. I
just
heard that it used to be like it's like a vermin or something like that. So it used to be cheap, and then it became a fucking delicacy.
Yeah, they thought it was a sea cockroach.
Yeah, I mean that's fine with me. I'll eat the sea cockroach.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of seafood. I eat all the seafoods, but yeah, that's just it was a long time ago that it wasn't considered a delicacy.
Yeah, I want it to not be. I want you to stop thinking it's a delicacy, so I can eat it cheaply.
Yeah, you got to change the minds of Costco.
I've fully transitioned to cooking at home the past. It was happening before I went to Austin.
That's
and
a
everything
really funny sentence, by the way.
I'm fully transitioned.
I've fully transitioned.
I want to
cooking.
I want to let everybody know that I've fully transitioned into cooking at home instead of eating out.
Boo.
Fuck you. But yeah, I've just been cooking at home a ton, and yeah, that's why I was like, I'll just get the lobster.
Yeah, dude, of course. Yeah, I've been doing steak sandwiches from Costco. They'll do like a nice cut ribeye that's like perfect sandwich size. So like if you have your like
where you get like 9 ribeyes,
you get like 10 little ribeyes.
So I buy those. That's what I ate for breakfast this morning. Was that exact? I buy those and then I take them and put two per thing and then freeze them. And then I eat them. Those are my breakfast steaks. When I first got my griddle, I would make a lot of steak sandwiches. I've been making less sandwiches, losing weight and shit, but. Yeah,
I do a really good steak sandwich on a we do Wednesday steak sandwiches. We keep it
nice.
consistent.
You have a huge backyard. Do you have a griddle or anything?
No, I haven't had the time. I got a barbecue for free. My friend had a Traeger, and he's like, dude, I don't have enough. He has now he has 3 kids, but he had 2 kids at the time. He's like, I don't have any time for fucking Traeger stuff. Bro, but now I got time. Now
you have a Traeger? Then?
No, I'm gonna get one when it's time.
Dude, that's the beautiful part about a Traeger is you don't like. That's like if you say you don't have time. That's of all the things to get. That's it because you legitimately set it on, set the temperature.
Yeah.
It maintains the temperature. It's cheating because have you ever smoked like on an actual I have an actual smoker that we were trying to use at the beginning of the pandemic, and we made like a tri-tip, we made a couple things, but there was no consistency to the temperature in there. It was like
you didn't have a thermometer in there.
No, I had the thermometer, but I couldn't keep the temperature consistent with by okay, we need to light some more coals, we need to do this, it's like a whole fucking game to keep we need to keep it at consistently 225.
Yeah, it's not an egg or whatever those
with
are.
The Traeger, you just set it to 225. Like
stays that way.
My favorite thing to cook is a fucking tri-tip. I cook a ton of tri-tip, and the longest part is actually just marinating and just putting it in the fridge and marinate.
Yeah, so that's my whole thing. Probably up until like 2 or 3 months ago, like I never had the time for the prep. Like, and I'm not talking like me, I'm talking like me or my wife, like putting stuff together for dinner. We would only give ourselves like a half hour to cook dinner.
Right.
But like now it's like, oh, okay. Like I started doing fried chicken. I can make fried chicken now. I've been working on that for a couple months. Unbelievable stuff. But anyways, now I can give myself like an hour to cook. So it's like, okay, yeah, maybe this summer we'll get the barbecue back up. I'll start doing some marinades, put it in. I got time to do that. Come back in, come back out. I'm not worried about kids sticking their hands in the stove or like putting their head in the oven or whatever. Like it's just, my kids can work the knobs on the oven right now.
Yeah, see, that's why I was wondering, because I don't use my kitchen. Because I have the Traeger, and then I have a griddle,
That's
like
right.
one of those Blackstone griddles, and that's why I was saying you have such a big backyard. You should get one of those, because that you'll cook so much more.
I know. I was gonna do it this summer, and then I was like, actually, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do it next summer.
But your steak sandwich or any I don't know if you guys cook like an egg breakfast, like eggs, bacon, sausage, all that. Like just literally just throw, especially for a family, just throw all that shit on the fucking
big
griddle.
Yeah,
and get
I
it
do
done.
like the big griddle. We grew up having a big griddle. Like my mom had a big one in the kitchen. It went over like 2 or 3 of the burners.
Yeah,
it was like a cast iron.
I had one of those for a long time. I used it. Kind of. I guess I would use it more now that I've used the propane griddles, but it's just so much easier. The cleanup, everything is easy. And then speaking of fried chicken, something I made this week was I was making a tri-tip, and so I bought 2 pounds of wings, and I smoked the wings to 145 degrees, and then I just chilled them, and then the next day I fried them. And so it was like smoked fried wings, and that's the first time I fried them on the griddle. So you take like one of those, those like foil pans that like serving. A lot of people use them as serving pans. You literally just put that directly on the griddle and fill it with oil. And then I got a thermometer. I heated it, got the oil to 350 degrees. Yeah. And that's the first time I ever made like my own wings like that. And then I made them smoked once. But they're too soggy still. Even if you do them to 165, you don't get any of the like crispiness at all.
Yeah.
And so they were like a little too soggy. And so then frying them, dude, it was like and then I just squeezed lemon, and then only pepper, because like lemon pepper wings, when you buy them at like Wingstop or Buffalo Wild Wings, they for sure use. I think they squeeze lemon on. I think they still squeeze some lemon, but then they use like the lemon pepper and then salt too, because they'll be pretty fucking salty. And then these were just like, it was just fresh lemon,
pepper
and it was fucking bomb. I realized after, because I think I ate like 12 of them, and then I realized after, like I didn't even have ranch or blue cheese or anything. Like I just ate these.
I think after I realized I fully transitioned.
I'm
now fully transitioned.
I'm fully transitioned to cooking at home. But no, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm just trying to eat whole foods, like, because I'll post like pictures, and then people will comment and be like, "Oh, you're eating keto. You're eating keto." It's like, no, just like these just happen to be all like actual foods that are like steak and eggs and avocado, and then the kimchi is obviously like processed and whatever, but it's like kimchi is fucking good.
Well, just when you cook in general, it's really easy to avoid all processed foods. I mean, it's just that much easier, because you have to get all the ingredients, you chop it up, blah blah blah.
I think one of the biggest reasons from all this is because I started watching 600 Pound Life like 2 or 3 months ago with my girlfriend, and I've watched like 7 seasons of it, and it's just like, it's like I already knew all of this stuff, and it's not like I was a heavy like this crazy processed food eater, but it's just like watching the people on that show like shop and eat, and then watching them go from being like, I can't eat this anymore, I have to eat a 1,200 calorie diet, and then watching what they eat most of the time for their 1,200 calories, you're like, oh my, like it's It's crazy. It's like it's a true like lack of education.
Yeah.
And I don't even know like how you at that age or whatever like that most of these people are, how you like completely change their
how you fully transition,
like how you fully transition their thought process.
Yeah.
Of like of any of this, like it makes I don't know. It makes
well. Then at that
sense.
point, I mean, they're in their 30s typically, or
30 like some 30s to 50
yeah,
usually.
Their brain is hardwired for that sugar and that dopamine and like all that shit. Like that's their body needs it. Well, their brain wants it anyways.
This one lady was just like, well, she's like, I found out that there's 0-calorie barbecue sauce, and it's just like, I like. That's why I think they should go to on the show that he usually like in the middle of like it's like they'll be trying for a while and then he'll be like, I'm going to send you to psychotherapy. And it's like that should be like the first thing that you do, and then they should have like a long nutrition class, like excuse me, like something that's just ongoing.
Or like get like the what are those Eat Fresh meals delivered to your door or whatever the fuck. We had those when the twins were born because we couldn't have time to cook anything, and we would easily like spend 15 minutes cooking, and those are great. Yeah,
it's just crazy because those people like because they're not even eating. Because sometimes I'm like, well, food is so delicious, and then you just be like, you're 600 pounds and you're just eating like frozen pizzas and frozen stuff. It's not even like 600 pounds of Terry Blacks.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? They're just jacked. They just look like the Jolly
My leg
Giant.
is full of mac and cheese. I've fully transitioned to mac and cheese. If I do put a name for this episode, the name's got to be fully transitioned.
Yeah. Is this going to be audio too?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. This sounds great. I love the sound of this. What was I going to fucking say? Oh, yeah, the 600-pound life. My YouTube algorithm figured out that I am obsessed with the My Strange Addiction shit. And I don't know how, because I don't watch that shit on YouTube, but somehow it came up, and I was like, I don't fucking watch this. And now all I'm getting hit up with every day is like, do you want to watch Brian, who's addicted to opiates, ruin his entire family life? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I do. I actually
gotta see.
Bro, you know what I'm addicted to on YouTube, which I got from Zach? Is these 2 channels. This is like what he got it. Like it's like I went out one night with Jason. And then he didn't want to like come out and go to the clubs, and so he stayed home. And when I get home, he's got like the TV watching YouTube, and it's 2 different things. One of them is called Trap Lore Ross, and then one of them is called Swamp Stories. Trap Lore Ross always revolves around rap music, and then but it's mostly gang affiliated rap music, and then Swamp Stories is literally like it's all gang shit from all over, and it just like they just break down like it's like a little documentary about like gang violence basically, and it's be like, oh, this is the story of MS-13 versus these guys. That's like Swamp Story, and they just like break it down and go through like all of the like, well, what happened was back in the day this guy started this gang, and then these guys moved in, and then this guy got killed, and that was a huge deal. So then these guys were going to have to retaliate, and so they killed these 7 people over the next 15 years.
Any interviews, or is it just one guy narrating?
It's just a guy. Each one of them is just a guy narrating, but they're both really fucking good.
Dang.
They're both like if they're really good in their own ways, and then the Swamp Story ones are very digestible. They're like 20 to 30 minutes usually, 15 to 30 minutes. The Trap Lore Ross ones, he has some shorter ones, and to be honest with you, they're not good because they're older ones that he made, the short ones. And he number one, he tries to joke too much, and he's not funny. He's a British guy, and he's just not funny. And he puts his opinion in a lot of those early ones too, and it's just annoying. But all the newer stuff is long as fuck. Like he has like 4 and 5 hour videos breaking down like these
decades of
like, and not even some of it's not even like one of them. The one that made him the most popular, it's got like 9 million views. Is this guy King Von from Chicago? He's dead now, but he breaks down from when he first gets involved with gangs and rap and everything. It's like I think it's like a 10 or 12 year process, like his career or whatever, 10 or 12 years, something like that. But he breaks it down, and then this guy had a bunch of beefs like online. Like he would like talk shit on Twitter, and then talk like they talk like major shit to each other, have back and forth and shit. And so he's like using all these tweets and like, and then he tweeted at his op over here. He tweeted him about like this and that. And he's and I guess he got like death threats and stuff because King Von's dead now. But he the way he does, he's like, he called him rap's first serial killer. And I think they're like really mad that he used, like, I guess the gangs are like mad that he used, or his friends or whoever it is, because I think they still like always maintain innocence of these people. Like,
I think you say they were mad because he wasn't the first one. Like,
no, they were mad saying
the
that
title.
he's not a serial killer. Like, I think that.
I guess that's funny. I mean, if you break it down, like anyone who like kills multiple people and like that's what they do, like for their career, like you're a serial killer.
Yeah.
But like in the eyes of gang violence, like it's not really what it is.
Yeah, it's super intriguing. It's like you could easily just lose hours of your life to watching it, and then it's so interesting to be like, oh, so this is how all of this started, and it's like I showed Jason, and he liked the Swamp Stories one, and he just wanted, it's like he was immediately going to all the ones that are like Long Beach related, like places that he knows, of being like, oh, and it's just a fucking, that's been the latest like my latest YouTube obsession.
I love that shit. I'll watch that shit. I'll have to look up that because I love a good story. Because while I'm working, I'll put on like a story and like someone who breaks down like the fucking like, oh, this is the beef between Nick Swardson and Norm Macdonald or whatever.
Oh yeah, they have those too. Or like, why Bert Kreischer's not funny. Like a lot of them are like, I forget what there's a guy
like Too Lazy to Try. He's really good. He's got like sometimes 10-minute, sometimes 30-minute things like why Howard Stern beef with Joe Rogan in the 90s or whatever. I was like, oh sure, and it's always interesting, entertaining. And some people just have a way of talking that like it's nice to listen to.
Yeah, and that's what, like, the Trap Lore, the British guy is like that. The Swamp Stories guy is almost the opposite of that, because the way that he talks, he kind of sounds like this.
I'm out.
And then what if I told you that he went over there? And my favorite thing is this thing that he does is he'll be, let's say he's like, and then Kenny went to RJ and killed him. He won't say that. He'll go like, and then Kenny walked up to RJ and bang.
Oh God!
and then it shows smoke on the screen, and it'll say like R.I.P. RJ. But it's done, and it's funny. It's a funny thing that I like. Like it's still, and I definitely can like it's not. I don't even feel like I have to get past the voice, but it's just the voice is fine with me.
The voice for me is such a big deal because there's a channel that I watch. It's like a review all things like comic book movies or like sci-fi stuff or whatever. And they review things, they preview things, whatever. And the guy, he's a British guy.
Yeah.
And it's not an annoying British accent. Like it's like, oh, welcome to Heavy Spoilers. We're talking all the things, blah 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 blah. I'm your host Paul. Da da da. And it's like it's not. I like the voice. I got used to it over the last few years. But recently he brought another guy on, and they never tell you who it's gonna be. So you see the video, you click on it, and all of a sudden you hear, hi, welcome to Heavy Spoilers. I'm Jimmy. And I'm like, oh, fuck this guy.
Fuck Jimmy, dude.
I'm out of here. And I always try to look at the comments and be like, is anybody else thinking the same thing as I am? No, it's just me. Fuck, I don't know what's wrong with this guy's voice.
That's fucking funny.
So it does matter. Voices do matter.
Voices, yeah, they do. They definitely do. I can't say they don't matter. I'm going to fully transition my voice.
Okay. You're going to fully transition this bit? Do you have something pulled up? Or
you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah. When is this going out?
This is going out next week after probably like Black Friday.
Shout out to the Blacks. I will be in San Diego first weekend of December. Madhouse Comedy Club, 1st and 2nd.
Nice. 4 shows?
4 shows, 2 nights.
That weekend I will be at Brea Improv with Chris Estrada.
Hey.
So
hell yeah.
don't you dare go to San Diego. You go see me instead. No.
Choose.
Wherever you're at, go to the show. Go see us. If you're listening to this and you're in Orange County, the weekend before Christmas, there will be a couple free shows here at the Rec Room, so you can come to those. And then go to my website, heykennyitskenny.com, for all the fucking national dates around the country. Anything else?
Follow me on Instagram. I do a podcast where I talk about people transitioning all the time.
Hell yeah. Goodbye.